Admiral Jessica Anderson's coffee cup slipped from her fingers, shattering against the polished floor of Strategic Command's observation deck. Her eyes remained fixed on the holographic display, watching as New Eden's final transmission played out in cruel clarity. "This is Governor Marcus Shaw of New Eden Colony. We are under attack by unknown forces. Our orbital defenses have been—" Static consumed his voice for a moment before returning. "Unprecedented weapons technology. They're burning through our shields like paper. If anyone receives this, please help us." The transmission cut to external footage from the colony's automated defense satellites. Massive ships of crystalline construction moved with geometric precision, their surfaces refracting starlight like faceted jewels. Energy beams of impossible power lanced from their vessels, turning New Eden's cities to slag and its oceans to steam. The recording ended with a final planet-wide thermal surge that oversaturated the sensors. 15 million souls, gone in less than 6 hours. "Play it again," Anderson commanded, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. Lieutenant Commander Jack Reynolds, her tactical officer, complied without question. They had already watched it 17 times. "Ma'am," Reynolds said quietly, "the President is waiting for your assessment." Anderson straightened her uniform, eyes never leaving the replay. 27 years in the United Earth Defense Force hadn't prepared her for this moment. Humanity had spread across 50 colony worlds, built a respectable fleet of 50,000 ships, and maintained a fragile peace through careful diplomacy and show of force. But this was something else entirely. "Get me General Torres and the Joint Chiefs," she ordered, finally turning away from the horrific display. "And someone clean up that coffee before someone slips and breaks their neck. We're about to be busy enough without workplace accidents." The command center erupted into controlled chaos as orders were relayed and communications channels secured. Within minutes, the holographic display shifted to show the grim faces of Earth's top military leadership. "Ladies and gentlemen," Anderson began, "what you're about to see will redefine everything we thought we knew about our place in the galaxy. Lieutenant Commander Reynolds, show them." As the footage played again, Anderson studied the reactions of her colleagues. General Torres's face hardened into granite. Admiral Chen's hands clenched into fists. Field Marshal Rodriguez whispered what sounded like a prayer. "Questions?" Anderson asked when the recording finished. "Could it be faked?" General Torres asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Negative. We've confirmed the quantum signature of the transmission. It's genuine. New Eden is gone, and we're dealing with an alien force of unprecedented technological capability. Their ships," Admiral Chen noted, "the crystalline structure suggests material science far beyond our current understanding. But there's something artificial about their movements. Too perfect, too precise." "Agreed," Anderson said, "which might actually work in our favor. They're predictable, and predictability can be exploited." Field Marshal Rodriguez leaned forward. "What are you suggesting, Jessica?" Anderson took a deep breath. What she was about to propose would change the course of human history. "I'm suggesting we activate Project Heimdall." The silence that followed was deafening. Project Heimdall had been the military's best-kept secret for the past 30 years. A massive network of automated manufacturing facilities, hidden throughout the solar system, capable of producing warships on an unprecedented scale. The political fallout, Torres began, will be nothing compared to the fallout of more colonies being reduced to molten rock. Anderson cut him off. "We've just witnessed the opening move of what could very well be a war of extinction. We need to respond with overwhelming force." She gestured, and a new set of projections appeared in the holographic display. "If we activate Heimdall now, we can have a fleet of 700,000 warships ready within 6 months. We'll need every single one of them." The Joint Chiefs exchanged looks. They all knew what this meant. There would be no going back, no peaceful resolution. Humanity was about to embark on the largest military mobilization in its history. "Make the call," Rodriguez said finally. God help us all. Anderson nodded grimly. No, God help them. They just killed 15 million of our people. Now they get to learn why humans don't take kindly to extinction-level threats. As emergency protocols began flooding through the Earth Defense Network, Anderson watched the final moments of New Eden's destruction one more time. The enemy had made a crucial mistake. They had given humanity time to prepare, and humanity would make them regret that mistake with every ship, every weapon, and every soldier they could muster. Colonel Michael Hayes stood in the control center of Facility Deep Red, watching as kilometers of dormant machinery hummed to life. Ancient floodlights flickered on in sequence, illuminating row after row of automated manufacturing units that stretched into the Martian depths. The air tasted stale. No one had breathed it in nearly 3 decades. Systems check complete, the facility's AI announced. All production lines operational, awaiting command authorization. Hayes placed his palm on the central console, speaking clearly into the verification system. Colonel Michael Hayes, authorization Sierra 9 Delta. Execute Operation Lazarus. The cavern trembled as massive fabrication units began powering up. Each production line was a self-contained shipyard, capable of constructing everything from frigates to dreadnoughts. The facility's original planners had been called paranoid for building it. Now they looked like prophets. Message from Earth Command. The AI reported. Admiral Anderson requests status update. Tell her the forges are ready, Hayes responded, watching as the first sheets of neutron-hardened armor rolled off the assembly lines. And get me Dr. Sarah Wilson from Materials Research. We're going to need those new alloy formulas. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Teams of engineers and technicians emerged from cryo-sleep chambers where they'd waited for this day. Each had volunteered for the secret program, agreeing to spend decades in suspended animation until they were needed. Colonel, Lieutenant Jennifer Parker called from her station. We're getting similar reports from other facilities. Luna Base Hyperion is online. The Ceres shipyards are spinning up. Even the Neptune Deep Space Station is reporting ready status. Hayes nodded grimly. Project Heimdall had been more extensive than even most military leaders knew. Hidden facilities throughout the solar system, each capable of producing hundreds of warships per month. The conspiracy theorists who claimed the military was hiding something in the outer system had been right. They just hadn't dreamed big enough. Dr. Wilson has arrived, the AI announced. Sarah Wilson strode into the control center, still shaking off the effects of cryosleep. Her expertise in theoretical materials science had made her invaluable to the project. I saw the reports about New Eden, she said without preamble. Those crystal ships, their hull configuration is unlike anything we theorized. Can we counter it? Hayes asked. Wilson smiled thinly. Give me 3 days with the fabrication labs. We'll have something that can crack those pretty crystal ships like glass. A warning klaxon interrupted their conversation. Lieutenant Parker's hands flew across her console. Sir, we're detecting multiple quantum space ruptures at the edge of the system. Hayes felt his heart stop for a moment. The enemy. Negative, Parker replied, relief evident in her voice. It's the Colonial Defense Forces. Every colony world is sending ships. They're all volunteering their manufacturing capacity. Hayes watched as the tactical display filled with friendly signatures. Humanity's colonies, rather than panicking at New Eden's destruction, were rallying to Earth's defense. Mining outposts offered their resources, research stations redirected their efforts to military applications, and civilian shipyards began retooling for war production. Send word to Admiral Anderson, Hayes ordered. Tell her Phase 1 is complete. All facilities are online and colonial support is confirmed. We're ready to begin mass production. He turned to address the entire control center. Ladies and gentlemen, we've spent decades preparing for a day we hoped would never come. Our enemy thinks they've struck a devastating blow. They think we're weak, disorganized, and frightened. He gestured to the massive production lines below, now operating at full capacity. Let's show them how wrong they are. The first warship hull was already taking shape in the nearest construction bay. It would be one of thousands, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. The sleeping giant of humanity's industrial might had awakened, and its fury would reshape the galaxy. Begin 24-hour production cycles, Hayes commanded. I want the first battle group ready for space trials within 2 weeks. As the facility thundered with renewed purpose, Hayes sent a private message to Admiral Anderson. The giant is awake. May God have mercy on those who roused it. Because we won't. Dr. Emily Mitchell ignored the exhaustion burning behind her eyes as she studied the antimatter containment field's diagnostic readouts. Her lab at the Lunar Advanced Research Center hadn't seen daylight in weeks. Not that the moon offered much of that anyway. Run the simulation again, she ordered her research team. Increase power to the magnetic bottling by 12%. The holographic display showed a perfect sphere of antimatter, suspended in a web of electromagnetic forces. Previous attempts had lasted minutes at best. This one had been stable for 6 hours. Dr. Mitchell, her assistant, James Cooper, called from his station. General Torres is here. She turned to find the general already striding through the lab's security doors, flanked by 2 officers carrying classified data cores. His presence here meant only one thing. They needed results, and they needed them now. Please tell me you have good news, Torres said, skipping any pleasantries. Emily gestured to the containment field. We've solved the stability problem. The new magnetic bottling system can hold antimatter indefinitely. More importantly, we can scale it up. Torres's eyes narrowed. How much can you scale it? Enough to power a fleet of 700,000 ships, Emily replied, allowing herself a small smile. And their weapons too. The general's stoic expression cracked slightly. Show me. Emily led them to the testing chamber, where a prototype drive system hummed with barely contained power. Traditional nuclear drives gave us good speed but limited range. Antimatter propulsion changes everything. 1 gram of antimatter provides more energy than 1,000,000 tons of conventional fuel. She pulled up the technical specifications. We also developed a new weapons platform, antimatter catalyzed fusion torpedoes. They'll crack those crystal ships like eggs. Production timeline, Torres asked. The automated factories can begin manufacturing tomorrow. Colonel Hayes has already modified the production lines at Deep Red to accommodate the new tech. Every ship we build will have both the drives and the weapons. Torres nodded slowly. And the safety protocols. Triple redundant systems, Emily assured him. If a ship is critically damaged, the antimatter is automatically ejected into space. No risk of chain reactions or accidentally taking out our own fleet. Their conversation was interrupted by a priority alert. The lab's main screen lit up with a transmission from General Robert Torres's command center on Earth. The first wave of colonial ships has arrived, the tactical officer reported. They're ready to begin retrofitting with the new technology. Emily watched as the screen filled with vessel after vessel, cargo ships being converted to carriers, mining barges transformed into battleships, passenger liners rebuilt as troop transports. Humanity's civilian fleet was becoming an armada. We're receiving reports from the outer colonies, the officer continued. The Jupiter shipyards have already completed their first batch of heavy cruisers. Mars Defense Force is rolling out a new line of stealth frigates. Even the Saturn Mining Consortium has converted their entire infrastructure to warship production. Torres turned to Emily. How long until we can begin full-scale fleet operations? She checked the production estimates. 4 months to reach minimum effective force. 6 months for the full fleet. Every ship will have advanced antimatter drives, next-generation weapons, and enhanced shield systems. The enemy won't expect this, Torres mused. Their intelligence must show us as a minor spacefaring power. Limited ships, conventional technology. They're in for quite a surprise, Emily agreed. We're not just building ships. We're making technological leaps that should have taken decades. She brought up the latest production figures. Across the solar system, humanity's industrial machine was reaching full power. Automated factories worked around the clock. AI systems optimized designs in real time. Resources poured in from every colony and outpost. "One more thing, General," Emily said, pulling up her latest project. "We found a way to track their crystal ships through quantum space. They won't be able to hide from us." Ford studied the data, then straightened his uniform. "Excellent work, Doctor. Keep pushing forward. When we strike back, I want them to remember this as the moment they made their greatest mistake." Emily turned back to her workstation, already planning the next breakthrough. The enemy had given humanity time to prepare, and they had no idea what humanity could accomplish when properly motivated. "We'll be ready," she promised, "and they'll never know what hit them." Commander James Walker held his breath as the stealth ship Shadow Dancer emerged from quantum space. The vessel's experimental metamaterial hull absorbed all electromagnetic radiation, making them virtually invisible to conventional sensors. They'd need every advantage for this mission. "Status report," he whispered, though he knew the enemy couldn't possibly hear them through the vacuum of space. Lieutenant Sarah Brooks checked her instruments. "Cloak is holding. Quantum wake is dispersed. We're running silent and deep, sir." The system before them blazed with activity. Countless crystal ships moved in precise formations between worlds that had been transformed into geometric artwork. Massive crystalline structures orbited the central star, harvesting its energy with impossible efficiency. "My God," Walker breathed. "Their entire civilization is like this, recording everything." The Shadow Dancer's sensors captured details that would make Earth's scientists drool. Cities built with atomic precision, ships that seemed to grow rather than be built, and at the center of it all, a massive crystalline Dyson sphere under construction. "Movement at 230, Brooks reported. 3 of their capital ships just dropped out of quantum space. Walker watched as the crystal vessels emerged. Each one was easily twice the size of Earth's largest battleship, their faceted surfaces refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. But something about their movement caught his attention. "Play back that emergence," he ordered. "Quarter speed." The replay showed what he'd suspected. The ships moved with mathematical precision. Too perfect, too calculated. There was no adaptation, no adjustment for the minor gravitational variations that should have affected their trajectory. "They're running on pure programming," he realized. No intuition, no improvisation. Just perfect, predictable execution of pre-planned routines. Chief Engineer Mike Davidson spoke up from his station. "Sir, I'm picking up some weird energy readings from their central command structure. It's like they're all connected. Some kind of crystalline hive mind." Walker frowned. "Can you tap into their communications?" "Better than that," Davidson grinned. "I think I can access their base code. These crystals they use, they're like organic quantum computers, advanced as hell, but still following basic programming rules." The next hour was spent carefully probing the alien network. What they discovered chilled them to the bone. "They call themselves the Pristine Collective," Brooks reported, reading the translated data. "They see all organic life as contamination, a cosmic plague that needs to be cleansed." "How many worlds have they cleansed?" Walker asked, dreading the answer. 17, Brooks whispered. New Eden was number 17, and Earth is next on their list. Walker's hands clenched into fists. "Not if we have anything to say about it. What's their combat methodology?" Davidson pulled up tactical analyses. "They fight like they build. Perfect geometric patterns, predetermined attack vectors. They've never had to adapt because nothing's ever survived long enough to force them to. That's their weakness," Walker realized. "They've got superior technology, but they're inflexible, predictable. Send everything we've got back to command. And add my personal note. They can bleed." As Brooks prepared the quantum burst transmission, alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. Multiple quantum space ruptures, Davidson shouted. They're launching a major fleet action. Walker watched as hundreds of crystal ships emerged from quantum space, forming a perfect attack formation. Where are they headed? Brooks's face went pale. Beta Centauri colony. Population 5 million. For a moment, Walker considered intervening. The Shadow Dancer carried prototype antimatter torpedoes. They might be able to disrupt the attack. No, he said firmly. We have a greater responsibility. Earth needs this intelligence. Prepare for emergency quantum jump. As they fled the system, Walker recorded his final observations. The enemy is powerful but predictable. They think in straight lines while we think in curves. They execute programs while we improvise. They are perfect, and that will be their downfall. The Shadow Dancer vanished into quantum space, carrying data that would help shape humanity's battle plan. In their wake, the crystal ships continued their perfect, predictable advance, unaware that their next target would be anything but helpless. They don't know what's coming, Walker told his crew as they headed home. But they're about to learn that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our numbers. It's our ability to do the unexpected. Captain Lisa Reynolds watched her tactical display as 300 crystal ships emerged from quantum space in perfect formation. The enemy fleet arranged itself into a flawless geometric pattern, their vessels gleaming like deadly jewels in the light of the binary stars. Right on schedule, she muttered. Status of our forces. Her executive officer, Commander Mark Peterson, checked his readings. Battle Group Thunder is in position behind the system's asteroid belt. Groups Lightning and Storm are hidden in the gas giant's magnetic field. All ships report antimatter weapons hot. The bridge of the UES Hyperion hummed with tension. This would be humanity's first major engagement with the pristine collective, and they'd chosen the battlefield carefully. The Proxima Centauri system's complex gravitational dynamics would play hell with the enemy's precise calculations. Enemy fleet is moving into attack formation, Lieutenant Jessica Chen reported from sensors. They're following the exact same pattern they used at New Eden. Reynolds allowed herself a small smile. Commander Walker's intelligence had been right. The collective's tactics were as rigid as their crystal ships. Begin Operation Chaos. Launch disruption drones. Thousands of small automated drones shot out from hidden positions throughout the system. Each one emitted false sensor readings and gravitational signatures, creating a maze of phantom ships and debris. Their formation is stuttering, Chen reported with satisfaction. Their targeting algorithms can't process the conflicting data. Now, Reynolds ordered, hit them from all sides. Battle Group Thunder emerged from the asteroid belt, their new antimatter weapons blazing. The crystal ship's perfect formation became their weakness. They were packed so tightly that each hit sent destructive resonance cascading through multiple vessels. They're trying to regroup, Peterson called out. Implementing standard counter-attack pattern Delta. Standard for them, maybe, Reynolds grinned. Groups Lightning and Storm. Execute Maneuver Chaos 3. The human ships moved in seemingly random patterns, their trajectories unpredictable yet carefully coordinated. Dr. Mitchell's antimatter drives gave them acceleration that the enemy's tactical computers couldn't anticipate. Crystal ships shattered under concentrated fire, their formation collapsing into disorder. Mom. Chen's voice rose with excitement. They're broadcasting some kind of distress signal. It's like they're asking their command for new instructions. Reynolds leaned forward. This was what they'd hoped for. Proof that the collective couldn't adapt quickly to unexpected situations. Press the advantage. All ships, implement random pattern variations. Don't let them predict our movements. The space around them lit up with explosions as more crystal ships fractured and broke. The enemy's return fire, while powerful, kept missing as human vessels refused to follow predictable evasion patterns. Enemy fleet is down to 60% strength, Peterson reported. They're attempting to retreat. No, wait. They're trying to reform their original attack pattern. They just don't learn, do they? Reynolds shook her head. All ships focus fire on their formation points. Don't let them regroup. The battle descended into chaos, or rather, carefully orchestrated chaos on the human side versus increasingly ineffective precision from the collective. Crystal ships, trying to maintain their programmed formations, flew right into human trap zones. Incoming transmission, Chen announced suddenly. It's different from their other communications, more complex. Put it through. The bridge speakers filled with a strange, harmonious tone that the translators struggled to decode. Finally, words emerged. This is impossible. You are imperfect. Uncoordinated. You cannot defeat us. Reynolds keyed her calm. We're not uncoordinated. We're unpredictable. There's a difference. And here's a message for your collective. This is for New Eden. She turned to her weapons officer. Target their command ship. Full antimatter spread. The massive crystal vessel, 3 times the size of the Hyperion, broke apart under the barrage. Without central coordination, the remaining enemy ships fell into disarray. Enemy fleet is in full retreat, Peterson reported. Confirmed kills. 212 crystal ships destroyed. 87 heavily damaged. That's their entire attack force. Reynolds stood, surveying the battlefield. Debris from shattered crystal ships drifted through space, sparkling like diamond dust in the starlight. Send word to Earth Command. The pristine collective isn't invincible. Today, we proved they can be beaten, and we did it without losing a single ship. As her crew celebrated their victory, Reynolds studied the tactical data. The enemy would adapt, eventually. But by then, humanity's full fleet would be ready. And this was just the beginning. Major David Cooper ducked as sparks showered from the captured crystal ship's control interface. His Special Warfare Division had spent weeks figuring out how to access the vessel's systems without triggering its self-destruct mechanisms. Got it. Lieutenant Kate Martinez called from her station. The young AI specialist's fingers danced across her quantum interface pad. Their base code is opening up. It's beautiful, but rigid, like a perfect crystal that can't adapt without breaking. The captured ship hung in the secure dock of the Mars Advanced Research Station. 3 more floated in nearby bays, each yielding new secrets about their enigmatic enemy. Talk to me, Kate. What are we looking at? Martinez's eyes lit up with excitement. Their whole command structure is based on perfect mathematical patterns. They don't just use these patterns. They worship them. But that makes them vulnerable to chaos theory disruption. Cooper moved to her station, watching as she unraveled layers of alien code. Can we use it? Better, she grinned. We can improve it. Our AI systems are already learning to predict their response patterns. Every battle gives us more data. The facility's main screen lit up with an incoming priority transmission. Admiral Anderson's face appeared, looking grimly satisfied. Major Cooper, your timing is perfect. The collective just launched a new offensive with modified weapons. They're learning. Cooper straightened. How bad? They adapted their crystal beams to penetrate our antimatter shields, hit the colony on Epsilon 9 hard. But Anderson allowed herself a small smile. Lieutenant Martinez's predictive algorithms gave us a 12-minute warning. We evacuated everyone. Martinez pumped her fist in triumph, then quickly remembered she was on a call with an admiral. Sorry, Mom, but this proves the theory. They can only adapt in straight lines. Predictable upgrades following their base pattern. Exactly, Cooper added. And each adaptation locks them further into rigid response templates. Permission to implement Phase 2. Anderson nodded. Granted. Show me what you've got. Cooper gestured to the captured ships. We're not just studying their tech. We're hybridizing it. Lieutenant, show her Project Evolution. Martinez brought up the schematics. The design showed a human warship incorporating salvaged crystal technology, but with critical differences. Where the collected ships were perfect and symmetrical, these were deliberately asymmetrical. Where their systems were rigid, these could reconfigure on the fly. We're taking their greatest strength and turning it into a weakness, Cooper explained. Their crystal tech is perfect, but perfection is fragile. Our ships will be adaptable, unpredictable, and armed with weapons they won't see coming. The display shifted to show battle footage from recent engagements. Crystal ships moving in flawless formations, breaking apart under attacks that came from impossible angles. Human vessels using captured technology to disrupt their communication networks. There's more, Martins added. Their quantum communication network. We cracked it. We can feed false data directly into their battle networks. Make them see things that aren't there, hide things that are. Anderson studied the data with growing satisfaction. How soon can we implement these upgrades fleet-wide? The automated shipyards are already being reprogrammed, Cooper replied. First wave of hybrid ships will be ready in 2 weeks. Full fleet integration in 2 months. The collective won't know what hit them, Martins said. They think they're perfect, but nature doesn't work that way. Evolution favors adaptation over perfection every time. Cooper watched as his teams continued to work on the captured ships. Engineers and scientists collaborated with AI systems, each discovery leading to new innovations. The enemy's technology was impressive, but humanity's genius lay in taking it apart, understanding it, and making it better. Send everything to Earth Command, he ordered, and get me the fleet commanders. They need to know what's coming. As the data streamed out, Cooper allowed himself a moment of pride. The pristine collective had spent millennia perfecting their technology. Humanity had taken just months to turn it against them. They don't stand a chance, Martins said softly, watching the simulations of their new hybrid ships. Not against a species that thrives on chaos and change. Cooper nodded. The enemy's perfect crystal empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about the power of imperfection, adaptation, and the relentless human drive to evolve. Admiral Jessica Anderson stood on the bridge of the UES Hyperion, now upgraded with hybrid crystal technology. The massive view screen showed the assembled might of humanity's fleet, 700,000 warships stretching as far as sensors could detect. Each vessel bore the scars of previous battles, their hulls a testament to humanity's evolution of warfare. Status report, she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. All battle groups report ready, Commander Peterson responded. The Collected's home system is just one quantum jump away. Our hybrid drives are charged, and their defense grid is still blind to our approach. The intelligence from their advanced scouts painted a clear picture. The pristine collective's leadership was fracturing, their perfect unity shattered by repeated defeats. Their home system, centered around a star they called the Perfect Light, was their last major stronghold. New intelligence coming in, Lieutenant Chen announced. We're intercepting their internal communications. They're fighting among themselves. Anderson moved to Chen's station, reading the translated data streams. The collective's leadership had split into factions. Some advocated for immediate surrender, others demanded the deployment of planet-killing weapons against their own worlds to deny them to humanity. A third group pushed for a suicidal last stand. They cannot comprehend defeat, Dr. Emily Mitchell observed from her technical station. She'd insisted on being present for this final battle. Their entire society is built on the assumption of their own perfection. We've broken their paradigm. Message from Earth Command, Peterson reported. President Richards has authorized Operation Crystal Breaker. We are go for final attack. Anderson took a deep breath. This was the moment that would decide the fate of 2 civilizations. Send the ultimatum. The message was broadcast across all frequencies, using the collective's own crystal technology to ensure they couldn't ignore it. This is Admiral Jessica Anderson of the United Earth Defense Force. Your empire has committed genocide against our people. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally, or we will end this war our way. The response came almost immediately, a cacophony of conflicting messages from different factions of the collective's leadership. We cannot submit to imperfection. The pattern must be preserved. We should negotiate. Better to die pure than live corrupted. They're powering up their defense grid, Chen reported. Energy readings are off the scale. They're diverting power from their entire Dyson sphere. Anderson's expression hardened. They made their choice. All ships. Execute Jump Protocol 7. Multiple entry points. Maximum chaos pattern. The human fleet vanished in a series of quantum flashes, only to reappear scattered throughout the collective's home system. Instead of meeting their defenses head-on, humanity's ships struck from every conceivable angle. Their formation is breaking, Peterson called out. They can't maintain their defense pattern. The space around them erupted in a display of destructive beauty. Crystal ships shattered under concentrated antimatter fire, their fragments creating a glittering debris field. Human vessels moved with controlled randomness, their hybrid drives allowing maneuvers that defied the enemy's predictive algorithms. Enemy fleet is down to 30%, Chen reported. Their command structure. Wait, we're receiving a priority signal from their central nexus. The main screen flickered, showing a being of pure crystalline structure. Its voice resonated through the bridge. You have corrupted the perfect pattern. You have introduced chaos into order. How can you be stronger than perfection? Anderson stood tall. Because perfection is static. Life is change, evolution, adaptation. You choose to be perfect. We choose to be better. She turned to her crew. Target their central nexus. All ships, fire at will. The combined firepower of humanity's fleet struck the crystalline structure housing the collective's leadership. As it cracked and splintered, the enemy's resistance crumbled. Without central coordination, their perfect formations dissolved into disarray. Enemy fleet is surrendering, Peterson announced, disbelief evident in his voice. All across the system, they're standing down. Anderson watched as the crystal ships powered down their weapons. The war was over. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger. But now came the harder task, deciding what to do with a defeated enemy who had never known anything but their own perfection. Send word to Earth, she ordered. The crystal throne has fallen. Now we need to decide how to help them rise again, not as perfect beings, but as fellow survivors in an imperfect universe. Ambassador Thomas Reed stood in the rebuilt central plaza of New Eden, watching as crystal and human architects worked side by side. Where once there had been only devastation, now a new kind of city was taking shape, one that merged the geometric precision of the collective with the organic flow of human design. Remarkable, former Admiral Anderson said, joining him at the observation point. A year ago, they would have rather shattered than accept imperfection. Now look at them. Below, crystalline beings moved among humans, their forms modified to allow for greater individual expression. Some had even started incorporating asymmetrical patterns into their structures, a small change that would have been unthinkable before their defeat. The integration programs are showing promising results, Reed noted, reviewing the latest reports. 80% of the collective has accepted the new protocols. They're learning to value adaptation over perfection. A group of human children ran past, chasing floating crystal drones that had been reprogrammed as toys. The drones sparked with different colors, their movements random and playful rather than perfectly calculated. Message from Earth Command. Anderson's comm unit chimed. The last of the hardliner factions has surrendered. The war is officially over. Reed nodded solemnly. And the shipyards? Still active, Anderson replied. But not for war. We're converting the vessels for exploration and defense. 700,000 ships, each one a testament to what we can achieve when pushed to our limits. They made their way to the city's new command center, where human and crystal operators worked in harmony. The main display showed the progress of reconstruction efforts across dozens of worlds. The crystalline engineers have started adding chaos theory algorithms to their design process, Dr. Emily Mitchell reported, joining them at the central console. They're fascinated by how random elements can strengthen rather than weaken a structure. And our technology? Anderson asked. Mitchell smiled. The hybrid systems are evolving beyond what either species could have created alone. Their precision combined with our creativity. The applications are endless. Alerts sounded, drawing their attention to a newly installed quantum communication array. The face that appeared was that of a crystal elder, its form now incorporating subtle asymmetries that marked it as part of the progressive faction. Honored humans, it began, its voice carrying harmonic undertones of emotion. Another new development. The Council has approved the Joint Exploration Initiative. We are ready to journey beyond known space together. Reed exchanged glances with Anderson. This was what they'd hoped for. Not just peace, but true cooperation. The exploration fleets will launch next month, he confirmed. Human and crystal crews working as one. The Elder's crystalline form shimmered with what they'd learned to recognize as pleasure. Perhaps together, we will find more species to join our... What is your word? Ah yes, community. After the transmission ended, Reed walked to the window overlooking the city. The sun was setting, its light refracting through crystal spires that had been deliberately designed with slight imperfections to create rainbow patterns. You know what the real victory was? Anderson asked, joining him. Not defeating them, but helping them change. Showing them that imperfection isn't a weakness, and changing ourselves in the process. Reed added, we've learned the value of their precision, just as they've learned to appreciate our chaos. The night shift was coming on duty, humans and crystals alike, their movements no longer segregated but flowing together in an organic dance of cooperation. In orbit above, the great shipyards continued their work, but now they produced vessels of peace and discovery. The children born today will never know a universe where our species were enemies, Mitchell observed. To them, this will just be normal, the way things were always meant to be. Reed smiled as another group of children ran past, some human, some crystal, all playing together without a thought to their differences. That's the real legacy of the 700,000 ships, not just winning the war, but building something better from its ashes. Anderson touched the Admiral's stripes she still wore, now a symbol of vigilance rather than war. And if another threat comes, then they'll find us ready, Reed answered, not as separate species, but as a single civilization that understands both the power of perfection and the strength of change. As night fell over New Eden, the city lit up with a blend of technologies. Crystal spires pulsing with quantum light, human homes glowing with warm fusion power. It was neither perfect nor chaotic, but something new. A civilization forged in fire, tempered by war, and strengthened by the very differences that had once driven them to conflict.